Hey everyone, it's Dale again, and I know some of y'all want to do radio. A couple of y'all are already working in radio, which is awesome. So I want to spend a few minutes for the rest of y'all who aren't very familiar with the radio business and give you a little glimpse behind the scenes of what it's like to put together a newscast for radio. I know we focus on TV in this class, and the writing style very similar, but there are some differences between TV and radio. Some of these we've already discussed, so some of this stuff should look familiar. When we talk about writing for TV, we have that aspect of we can hook people with the visuals as well. So our words matter, visuals complement our words, and the visuals can be incredibly strong, as we talked about last week. So that's two things we have to continually keep in play. Well, with radio, it's a little bit different because we're writing mainly for one media or for one channel, right? We're writing for the ear, so it makes audio that much better, or it makes audio that much more important. Great sound, great writing, great natural sound, which we'll talk about here later. Those all come into play to make a good radio story. Some of that terminology we've discussed already. Hopefully you're familiar with the terms on the left now after a couple of weeks of working in TV news writing. Sound bites in radio are called actualities or perhaps vox pops. Most part actualities. A package in TV is called a wrap in radio. The rundown in TV. So when you're putting your show together in TV, that's called a rundown. That's what I did every day on a daily basis. First thing I'd have to do is go in and put my rundown together. In radio, that's called a cue. So what stories are coming up. In TV, they're anchors. In radio, they're announcers. And in TV, we have readers, whereas in radio, they're voicers. So just a couple of minor differences there. They all kind of mean the same thing. It's just different terminology in the radio business. As for the scripts, as we've already discussed this semester, they are different format than TV scripts. They're one column because, remember, we don't have that left-hand column of telling people or telling the director and those types what we want to see on the screen. We don't have to worry about that, so we write in one column. And again, that heading information is really important. The name, the date, the slug, and the time, and the out cue and the length are really vital for radio. Those are probably the two most important things. Beyond slug, out cue, and length. Really, really important. You have to let the anchor know, or the announcer know how long your package is or your wrap is going to be, and what the out cue is for it. Here's a look at a typical radio story. You'll see we still have a reporter, an anchor lead, an announcer lead. Sorry, I'm trying to get the terminology down. Get the terminology straight, at least. Still have a reporter toss. But then the package just is written in one column. But still fairly similar, right? I mean, that looks like the writing we've been doing all semester. If you keep going down, you'd see that I end it and have a reporter sig out as well. So still need a reporter toss, still need a sig out from the reporter. Working in radio is a lot different than TV. You're not on camera at all times, so you can dress a little more casually. You don't have to worry about what your equipment is going to look like on TV, and you also tend to work alone a lot, which some people find really nice. So radio reporters, like I just said, tend to work alone. They turn multiple stories a day. So in TV, you might have one story a day. In radio, you're probably going to be turning 5 to 6 stories a day. It just depends on what your beat is and what you're assigned that day. Use your phone a lot. So either it's setting up interviews or calling to get information or doing your interviews just over the phone. When I worked in radio, I was doing like 4 jobs at the same time, and so I couldn't go out into the field and do these stories, so I interviewed everyone who I used in my stories over the phone. That's a huge advantage from TV because people feel a lot more comfortable talking on the phone. They're like, I don't want to put makeup on, or I don't want to get dressed, or, there are some disadvantages with TV when it comes to trying to get an interview. It's a hassle, but in radio, like, hey, can we talk on the phone here for a minute? And another big difference between radio and TV, in radio you go live just about every hour, if not every half hour, or more than that. Some stations go live every 20 minutes. Speaking of those radio newscasts, descriptive writing is a must. You have very short amount of time. So descriptive writing and natural sound play huge roles in getting that story across. Again, these newscasts are really short. They can go anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes. So 30 seconds, that's like 2 really short stories and maybe a very quick weather recap, and you're moving on. That's it. That's the whole newscast. Radio stories in general are shorter than TV, so those voicers, those would be the readers that we know of in TV. They're about 10 seconds long, 15 seconds long, and a wrap, which again, that's a package in TV. Instead of a minute to a minute 30, they're like 30 to 45 seconds in radio. Here's some examples I'm going to play from y'all. This is kind of a traditional radio newscast, very bombastic, the deep, gravelly voice, male anchor. It's kind of a dying phenomenon, I think, but I want y'all to hear some of this.
I'm Dick Lehman, News Radio 1040 WHO. Why in the world would someone break into a Des Moines home, not once, but twice, and steal peppers? Well, someone has. Turns out they're promoting peppers among the hottest in the world, and they sell for $120 a pound. They're still looking for the thief. A human skull, part of one, was found by Ames family recently in Jasper County. It was in the Skunk River. Now, just a month ago, they found another skull in the river. They think both are Native Americans who lived more than 200 years ago.
Okay. I'm going to stop it right there. You still get the sense, though, it's still conversational writing, right? Even though his delivery is quite dramatic, that's still really conversational writing and very short stories. On the other hand of the spectrum, you have NPR, which is known for its quiet demeanor and very sophisticated. Here is an example of some NPR stories.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. The White House says the U.S. is still trying to determine who was responsible for violence that erupted over the weekend in Ukraine, government troops and pro-Russian militia. A spokesman Jay Carney saying today the pro-Russian militants in the eastern part of the country lay down their arms and abandoned buildings they've been occupying or face consequences.
There is not progress within days. We remain prepared, along with our European and G7 partners, to impose additional costs on Russia for its destabilizing actions.
On Sunday, three people were killed in a shootout in eastern Ukraine. Carney also said Russia has influence over separatists there. When Moscow to live up to commitments it made last week to try to stabilize the situation. The city of Boston is breathing a sigh of relief and swelling with pride after the successful conclusion of the 118th Boston Marathon. A little over a year after bombs tore through the finish line of the 117th running. There's Fred Bever.
Brad Toney was at the marathon just as he was last year. He says Boston is on a long road to recovery. But a lot of ground was covered during this year's race.
To me, it means that there's a sense of resiliency and a sense of pride within the city that despite any tragedy, the human heart has to go on. We can't stop despite any kind of obstacle or setback.
Tight security was the order of the day, and while most took it in stride, some said they were sad. Such a peaceful event required armed protection. Fred Bever, NPR News, Boston.
It ought to work.
I'm going to just stop it there because you get the sense we heard a story with an actuality there, a soundbite. And then we heard a reporter package. Again, you heard the reporter toss, and you had a SIG out there as well. Here's one last one I'm going to play for you. This is from KPCC in California. This is another example of just some really good radio news writing.
If you've been following people, you know that his is a true LA story. Born in the Santa Monica Mountains, he made it to Hollywood against all odds, namely freeway traffic. He gained a Twitter following and was even photographed last year in front of the famed Hollywood sign. But things have since taken a turn. During their checkup, ecologists found he had toxins in his blood, and he caught a disease. It turns out that he has mange. Seth Riley is with the National Park Service. You can see on his face scraggly, and his whiskers are scraggly, and his tail is pretty scrawny kind of stuff. Mange is a skin disease caused by parasitic mites. It's been devastating to local bobcat populations, but its effects on mountain lions aren't well known.
Riley says P22 is still behaving in a healthy manner. Scientists gave him medicine for the parasite as well as a shot of vitamin K to treat toxins in his bloodstream that likely came from rat poison. They also replaced his GPS collar, which means they'll be able to monitor his movements for another couple years. From the Environment Desk, I'm Jed Kim, 89.3 KPCC.
So that was a story about a mountain lion that had been tagged and they were following its health. So that was just the package audio there. We didn't hear the anchor lead or the reporter toss. So you get a little bit of a sense, still very descriptive writing, active, very current, present tense when possible, say and says as the attribution words. Very similar in the writing style. It's just the formatting of the scripts and the delivery that can be a little bit different.